Field Notes by Reverend Sarah Speed. With tears in your eyes, you name all the bumps and zigzags your life has taken. With clenched teeth and a hummingbird pulse, you wake up and wonder, how did I get here? In the last 40 days of desert wandering, you say you haven't heard God's voice once. You say you miss when God was close, when God used to sing the harmony line, so you yell at the sky, begging God to drop a pin, to name the road, to draw you a map. You lament the way this life isn't easy. You ask me, was the road ever straight and narrow, or was that all a lie? But then you crest the mountain, and I don't hear from you for a while, because God was growing in the lilac field on the other side of the hill. God was scattered among the pebbles of the road you never planned to take. Isn't it amazing, you say, there are a million roads home, and God walks every single one of them. Epiphany marks the next big stretch of the year, coming out of the glittering dust of Christmas and nestled into the winter of our year before we get to the spring that enters alongside the season of Lent. Epiphany tells us of the star, the waymaker, the waymarker, and of the traveler and the mystic who invites the people into a path of awareness, a time of setting goals, of moving forward, of building a future plan in the present of the year. So what might we be bringing into this new year? What zigzags of our lives need to be noticed or set aside? And what is the call of the traveler for us now? This is an intimate, personal question, so I can't hope to answer it for you, but I can say that as we turn the page on the year, as we settle into bracing ourselves for what this year might bring, or for celebrating the joys to come in our lives this year, I start this year feeling a little timid. There was a line in that poem about the hummingbird pulse. And I can't tell you how many times in the last several months I've woken from sleep feeling like a hummingbird's pulse is there with me, just out of reach, making the world vibrate with heartbeats almost imperceptibly small. And it is in these times that I know that the way has never been easy, that my life is not to give perfected answers. My job, my call is to open us to the messiness, the heart-wrenching soul of the world that comes with vulnerability in each year at Christmas and stays the whole year, calling us forward, helping us stay true to our human roots, finding presence where there is grief to share, celebrating in the joy of the new. And until Lent, Epiphany is our season, just on the edges of other more notable seasons in the church year. So what revelations, what following of the signs shall we engage this year? Our theme creators have invited us to look upon the road of those stargazers, the Magi, as we've come to know them in years after their kingly status has been discredited by historians. The way in which they alter their course, guided by dreams and stars and unforeseen detours. The text offers us a long discourse on their arrival at the child Jesus, but gives us half a line to speak to their course change, having been warned in a dream. Their decision to embrace alternate paths challenges us as we think about our own journeys. Could we accept the subtle nudge of change, or do we wait to be swept away with signs of change needed? The Magi were willing to have their assumptions challenged and their plans changed at the drop of a hat. Even when we feel we are doing the work God calls us to do, we could or should never expect an obstacle-free highway to open before us. Because even when we follow the star to our destination and all the signs point to being in the right place, our path still may shift at any time. Throughout our Advent to Christmas journey, a treasured or well-known text has been paired with others to put flesh on the bones of a hope-filled vision of the season. And our themes along the way have certainly pointed to that as well. As we have discussed with the younger set of us each week, we have built upon your self-worth in you are a blessing, an expression of hope that we might be willing to start with ourselves, to a community view, and we can't go alone, hope living in the interactions between, to an expectation of action in do the good that is yours to do, hoping that our part might make a difference in the world, and ending the season of Advent with hope is worth the risk, reaffirming that the work of hope is the work the church meeting the needs of people in new and vibrant ways as God has called the people to do for generations. While hope is traditionally only a single week, as a weekly reminder of unity and authenticity and the reason for the season, as so many are often said to say, hope is what binds the whole Christmas story into an annual experience of world building. Hope is what empowers our journey. And to drive this point home even more, rather than the traditional Isaiah text of arise, your light has come, the astrologers from Persia are paired with a reminder that God makes a way for water in dry places, for animals to sustain and live, for a new thing to come forth. God makes all things new, and God makes a way. The invitation to praise and act and journey are all rolled into that expression of hope. Hope. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope, Martin Luther King Jr. said, is not fragile. Hope is hidden strength and yet remains soft. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all, as Emily Dickinson wrote. Softness is not to be seen as weakness, because in our lives, sometimes the hardest thing is to be willing to open ourselves to softness, to the birds of the air and the trees of the field that clap their hands, to the joy in another's face and the sorrow in that of their neighbor. Hope is the tendril that this whole past month has been about, cultivating hope for community with surrounding warmth. As we've built this quilt this whole season, we have reflected on the variety of ways this ancient story is still new, even in its age. It is much the same with the quilt of generations, using scraps mixed with new bits of thread and cloth, to make something that warms the body with texture in the soul by knowing that someone has thought of us. If we walk into the new year, into a new moment bolstered by that thought, we might face the uncertainties of our journey with courage, knowing God is with us in the detours. In this new year, may you find that comfort, knowing that like the Magi, a light will guide you home. Comfort in the hope that you will never truly go alone, that the love that knows your name goes alongside and before you. May God be revealed in the days to come, in the discovery of deeper truths in wilderness places, in the season of wayfinding that is Epiphany. Amen.